morning students. So welcome back to our second chapter, input, output and memory devices. Okay, this will be a part 3 and today we are going to discuss about memory devices and just brief about in the past two parts like part 1 and part 2 what we have discussed. Okay, in the first video we discussed about input devices, in the second video we discussed about output devices, and in the third session we will discuss about memory devices. Before getting into the memory devices, I'll just brief out what we have discussed in the previous classes or the previous session. So in the first session, we discussed about input. What is input? Input is nothing but feeding data to a computer with the help of an input device. Okay. So feeding the data into a computer can be done with different kinds of input device. One is keyboard, mouse, we have a joystick, OCR, MICR and OMR. We have seen the applications as well as we have seen the working of all the input devices. Next we have discussed about the output devices. The output devices, why we need output devices? To display the data or the information to the user. So we call the output devices. So we have a number of output devices. The first widely used output device is monitor. Monitor is also called as video visual display unit. Okay. After monitor we have discussed about speaker. Isn't it all? And in monitor we have discussed about the types of monitor. Then we discussed about speakers as well as printers. When we have discussed about printers, we have seen different types of printers, and we have seen printers are basically categorized into impact and non-impact printer. Under impact printer we have two types of printer. One is line printer and dot matrix printer. And in the non-impact printer we have three types: thermal printer, laser printer, and we have inkjet printer. We have seen a working and the working principles of all the printer as well as characteristics of impact and non-impact printers. Okay. After printers we have discussed about speakers. We do have speakers. In speakers we have subwoofers, we have speech synthesizer software in order to convert the frequency, convert the audible or the audible signals into in order to convert the analog or digital signal into an audible frequency. So we need a speech synthesizer software which is present in a speaker. Speaker is also one of the output device. So we have discussed about input output devices. Now we will discuss about memory device. Okay. In today's class we discuss about memory device. Memory device is the most essential part of a computer, and memory devices is I can also call memory device as the storage unit. Okay, memory device is the essential part of the computer. It is also called as storage device. And why we need the data? The data has to be the data which we store in the computer will fetch us for the future use. We use the data for future, so the data has to be stored in the memory. Memory unit is also called as storage unit. Where we store the data? We store the data in the memory. For a long period of time the data has to be stored, means we have to store the data into a memory. So we have different types of memory: primary memory and secondary memory. That we will discuss later. Now we have seen the introduction to memory. Why we need memory? Memory is used to store the data. Why we need data? For future use. If you want the data in your future, for future use of data, the data has to be stored in the memory devices, or it is also called as storage devices. So we measure the memory in terms of bits and bytes. Okay, what is the term? 8 bits makes 1 byte. Okay, 8 bits make 1 byte. In the memory, the capacity of the memory we usually tell in bytes. So how many bits makes 1 byte? 8 bits makes 1 byte. So 2 raised to power 10, that means 2 has to be multiplied 10 times. 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 10 times. So 2 raised to power 10 is nothing but 1024. Okay, 2 power 10 is 1024. We have 2 power 10 bytes, that is 1024 bytes is equal to 1 kilobyte. I repeat, we have 2 raised to power 10 bytes is nothing but equal to 1024 bytes. When you multiply 2 10 times, we get 1024. Okay, so 1024 bytes makes 1 kilobyte. Okay, usually 1000 means we call it as kilo. In terms of memory, for us 1000 is not means 1 kilo is not 1000, it is 1024. 1024 is 1 kilobyte. So 1 kilobyte is equal to 1 megabyte. 1024 kilobyte is equal to 1 megabyte. 1024 megabyte is equal to 1 gigabyte. Okay, or gigabyte, however you pronounce. 1024 megabyte is equal to 1 gigabyte. When I talk about in terms of bytes, it is 2 power 30. That means 1024 into 1024 into 1024, 2 power 30, we have 1024 megabytes. Next, 2 raised to power 40 is nothing but 1024 gigabyte is equal to 1 terabyte. 2 raised to power 50 bytes is nothing but 1024 terabyte is equal to 1 petabyte. 1024 petabyte is equal to 1 hexabyte. 1024 exabyte is equal to 1 zettabyte. 1024 zettabyte is equal to 1 yottabyte. 1024 yottabyte is 1 brontobyte. 1024 brontobyte is 1 geobyte. Okay, so today's hard disk, when I talk about memory here, it is primary memory and secondary memory. Storage I spoke about, it has to be, the data has to be used for a long period of time. That means we are storing the data in this secondary storage device, especially hard disk, magnetic tapes, etc. So when I talk about those things, what is in the modern world today, in the technical field, till we are using, the memory capacity is still terabyte. In future it could be petabyte, hexabyte and all. In 2005, 2007, 8 and all, we used to have only gigabyte. The hard disk capacity will be like 500 GB, like that we used to tell 600 GB, 500 GB, and the RAM capacity will be 2 GB, 2 GB RAM or 4 GB RAM. Your primary memory or main memory will be 2 GB or 4 GB. Your secondary memory, that is your hard disk capacity, will be usually in GBs. Now it is in TBs. We have the separate hard disk also that comes in TBs only. So in your computer, if your hard disk capacity is 500 GB, you want to enhance, you can take the hard disk separately. That will range, you will get it in TB also. Even the cost has been reduced. Okay, when compared to in the past 10 years, the technical field, the electronic fields have been given a wide hit. It has been grown up. So here we can see, usually it was in GBs, now it is in TBs, terabyte. I repeat, why we need memory devices and what is memory we are seeing. What is memory? Memory is the main component of the computer which is used to store the data. See, once you feed the data into the computer with the help of input devices, once the data has been processed, the data has to be stored somewhere, right? Where it will be stored? If it is a temporary data, it will be stored in the RAM. If it is for a long period of time, you need the data to be stored. You give a physical, like you explicitly mention the save. If you tell save, it will be saved in the storage device, especially in your hard disk. Okay, so the data has to be used in the future. We store the data into the hard disk. Okay, now I spoke about secondary storage only, that is your hard disk. The capacity of your memory can be measured in bits and bytes, especially in bytes. How many bits make a byte? 8 bits make a byte. So we measure in this term. For us, 1 kilo means 1024 bytes makes 1 kilobyte. 1 mega means 1024 kilo. 1 giga means 1024 megabyte. 1 terabyte means 1024 gigabyte. 1 peta means 1024 terabyte. 1 hexa means 1024 petabyte. 1 zeta means 1024 exabyte. 1 yotta means 1024 zettabyte. 1 brontobyte means 1024 yottabyte. 1 geobyte means 1024 brontobyte. Okay, these are about the memory devices. Next we will see different types of memory, primary memory and secondary memory. Okay students, now we discussed about the memory. Okay, in the memory we have seen different types of memory I discussed. We have two types of memory. One is primary memory and secondary memory. Why we need memory? Memory is also called as storage device. What memory is also called as? Memory is also called as a storage device or a storage unit, basically to store the data. Why we need storage? For future use. Why we need to store the data in the memory? For future use. Okay, so we categorize memory into two types of memory. One is primary memory and secondary memory. What is primary memory? Primary memory is also called as main memory, or it is also called as system memory. Primary memory is also called as main memory. In main memory we have two types of memory. One is ROM and RAM. ROM stands for read only memory. Read only memory. What is the meaning of ROM? Read only memory. I am just briefly telling what it is. I am just giving you an idea. In depth we will see what is ROM, what is RAM, what are the types of ROM, what are the types of RAM. What does ROM stands for? Read only memory. What does RAM stands for? Random access memory. Random access memory. also called as main memory, otherwise it is also called as system memory. So we categorize primary memory into two types. One is volatile and non-volatile. What do you mean by volatile and non-volatile? When the power gets off, when power goes off, the content in the primary memory goes off, or it get deletes, or it vanishes off. So that means the data get erased when the power goes off. When you switch off your CPU, the content in the RAM goes off. It has been erased, okay, or it has been deleted. Once the CPU is switched off or the power goes off, the content in the monitor, the content in the primary memory goes off, okay. Such kind of memory we call as RAM. Random access memory is a volatile memory. The content in the RAM gets erased off once the power is switched off. Once you switch off your CPU, the content in the RAM is being erased, okay. So it is called as temporary memory, or it is called as volatile memory, okay. Next, ROM is called as read. That is abbreviation for ROM is read only memory. ROM is also called as non-volatile memory. That means even the power goes off, or even you switch off your CPU, the content in the ROM will not be erased, okay. So it is also called as permanent memory, okay. This is temporary, this is permanent, this is volatile, and this is non-volatile. So in primary memory we discussed about two, but in this also we discussed about types of ROM and types of RAM, okay. In types of, when I discuss about read-only memory, we have different types of ROM. One is PROM, EPROM, and EEPROM. Programmable random access memory, programmable read-only memory. Okay, electrically programmable read-only memory, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. In RAM we have two types of RAM. One is EDO-RAM, extended data output RAM, and static random access memory. Okay, we have two types. We will discuss in detail. I am just giving you an idea the types. What are the memory we have, because you should not get confused. If I talk about RAM and ROM, you will be thinking, okay, RAM is primary, ROM is secondary. That's why I just got feedback from the students that is wrong, okay. When I talk about memory, only two categories, primary and secondary. RAM and ROM both will fall under primary only, but here it is volatile and non-volatile, and we have different types of ROMs and different types of RAMs, okay. Next we have secondary memory. I told secondary storage, when I talk about, it is for future use. The data has to be used in the future for a long period of time. Because of the durability, we use secondary storage device. It is the storage capacity is high. Usually it will be in GBs and TBs. When I talk about secondary storage device, the first secondary storage device is hard disk. We have magnetic tape, magnetic disk, floppy disk, optical disk, optical tracks, okay. And other secondary storage devices, your portable storage. Your portable storage is nothing but your pen drive, your hard disk, your flash devices, your USBs, your floppies, CDs. All these are your portable. Portable means what? You can carry, okay. You can carry. So such kind of storage devices will fall under storage category. That also will come under secondary storage device only, okay. Your portable also will come under secondary memory only. So in secondary memory we have hard disk, magnetic tape, floppy disk, optical disk, and optical tracks, okay. This is about the a brief idea about primary memory devices, okay, primary and secondary. Now we will discuss about primary memory. We will discuss about ROM and RAM, okay. Okay students, we discussed about primary memory. I told in primary memory we have two types of primary memory. One is RAM and ROM. Now we will discuss about ROM. ROM stands for read only memory. I repeat, ROM. ROM stands for read only memory. This is the type of primary memory. Usually your primary memory will be your RAM or ROM, okay. Here it is ROM. And ROM, what are the qualities, what are the characteristics of ROM? Means it is non-volatile. What do you mean by non-volatile? It is permanent, okay. It is permanent. Even the power goes off, or even you switch off your CPU, the content in the ROM will not be erased. I repeat, ROM is a non-volatile memory. Even the power goes off or is switched off, the content in the memory will not be erased. And one more thing, at what time the information is being burnt into your ROM? So the program has been burnt or pre-recorded at the manufacturing time. So normally at the time of manufacturing only the information will be recorded or pre-recorded. Why? When you switch on your CPU, you need a booting software. All your So if as soon as you switch on your CPU, the booting software has to be loaded up in order to boot your OS. So the booting software has to be manufactured at the time of it has to be recorded at the time of manufacturing time. When they manufacture ROM only, that time only they used to burn the ROM, or they just program the ROM. At what time? At the manufacturing time. At the manufacturing time in the ROM chip, they used to pre-record the information. What will be there? What they pre-record? The booting software. Your boot software has to be loaded in the ROM. At the time of your manufacturing time only, they just pre-burn the ROM. Why? Because once you switch on your CPU, the OS has to be booted up. In order to boot the OS, we need a booting software that will be present in your ROM. So this is the main characteristics of ROM. In ROM we have types. The first type is PROM, Programmable Read-Only Memory. I repeat, PROM. PROM stands for Programmable Read-Only Memory. The difference between ROM and PROM is, here the content in PROM is not burnt or it is not pre-recorded at the manufacturing time, wherein we have a PROM programmer. The PROM programmer used to program the PROM. That means not at the manufacturing time. The user or the programmer used to program, the programmer, not user, the programmer used to record the boot the software in the PROM. With the help of a PROM programmer, we call that programmer as PROM programmer, or we have a software called as PROM burner. PROM burner, that means it is not done at the manufacturing time, because we have a programmer. Now and then when it is needed, we have a PROM programmer. He used to load the PROM chip. The PROM has to be burnt by the help of the PROM burner, or it can be programmed with the help of PROM programmer. I repeat again the characteristics of ROM. ROM stands for read-only memory. It is non-volatile. It is permanent. Even the computer is switched off, or even you switch off your CPU, the content in the ROM will not be erased. There are the types of ROM. The first one we have seen, PROM. P stands for Programmable Read-Only Memory. In ROM, the content are pre-burnt or content are pre-recorded at the manufacturing time itself. When they manufacture PROM chip, at that time only they load the booting software in the ROM. Whereas in the programmable ROM, we have a PROM programmer. He used to program the content in the PROM. Otherwise, we have a PROM burner. We used to burn the chip with the help of a PROM burner software. Next, we will see EPROM. Next, we see EROM and EEPROM. Okay, next we discuss about the other two types of ROM. One is EPROM and EEPROM. EPROM stands for Erasable Programmable Read-Only Memory. Please keep in your mind, PROM, once you write the content into the PROM, it cannot be erased. Okay, it is not read and write. Once you just write it, burn the chip, again it is not erased. So the content in the PROM cannot be erased, whereas in EPROM, the content in the EPROM can be erased with the help of UV rays. Okay, with the help of UV rays, ultraviolet rays, the content in the PROM can be erased. So only we call it as EPROM. EPROM stands for Erasable Programmable Read-Only Memory. The content in the EPROM can be erased with the help of UV rays. It is faster than your PROM. Here we can just once the chip has been burned, again the content in the EPROM can be erased with the help of UV rays. Again you can reburn the chip. Okay, in EPROM, the content in the EPROM can be erased with the help of using UV rays. Now when we see EEPROM, the same thing. It also works similar to EPROM, but it is electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. We use electric charge. We use electrical energy in order to erase the content in the EEPROM. Here we use UV rays. Here we use electricity. We use the electric charges in order to erase the content in the EEPROM. Those are the two differences about erasable programmable read-only memory and EEPROM. Okay, in PROM the contents are not erased. See, once you burn the PROM, that's it. Okay, again we cannot reburn the chip. Here in EPROM and EEPROM, EEPROM. It can be reburned with the help of UV rays and with the help of electrons. With the help of electric charge, you can reburn the chip. Okay. So we have seen about three types of three types of ROM. One is PROM, programmable read-only memory. Next we have EPROM, electrically programmable read-only memory. EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. Okay, next we'll discuss about RAM. Okay students, now I'll discuss about ROM, then we'll go for RAM and types of RAM. ROM is also called as read-only memory. It is volatile or non-volatile memory. It is non-volatile, that means the content in the ROM cannot be erased, or even the power goes off or any power failure, or even you switch off your CPU, the content in the ROM cannot be erased. Okay, that is permanent memory. Okay, then we have seen about types of ROM. We have seen types of ROM. One is PROM, EPROM and EEPROM. Okay, PROM stands for programmable read-only memory. EPROM stands for electrically programmable erasable programmable read-only memory. EEPROM stands for electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. Next we will see RAM. RAM stands for random access memory. Next type of primary memory is RAM. RAM stands for random access memory. Okay, random access memory. It is volatile memory. That means you switch off your CPU or you switch off the power. The content in the RAM will be erased. It goes off. It has been deleted. The content in the RAM will be deleted once the power goes off. So I call RAM as a volatile memory. Okay, RAM is a volatile memory, or it is a temporary memory. The content in the RAM will be erased once the power goes off. Okay, it is also called as your main memory. In RAM we have types. So we have EDO-RAM. EDO stands for Extended Data Output RAM. I repeat, RAM stands for, here we have random access memory. We have types of RAM. First is we have EDO-RAM, Extended Data Output Random Access Memory. Usually this memory is very fast. This type of memory is very fast. Actually, initially it was in the range of 66 megahertz in case of Pentium. Later it was Intel company undertook, so the frequency it's been increased in case of EDO-RAM, but initially it starts with 66 megahertz. Okay. Next we discuss about SRAM. This is another type of primary memory, SRAM. Another type of RAM, that is SRAM. S stands for Static Random Access Memory. I repeat, SRAM stands for Static Random Access Memory. It is usually made up of semiconductor and it is bistable. I repeat, SRAM stands for Static Random Access Memory. It is made up of the semiconductor and it is bistable. Now next we have SDRAM and DDSDRAM. SDRAM stands for Synchronous Dynamic Random Access Memory. SDRAM, I repeat, SDRAM stands for Synchronous Dynamic Random Access Memory. Usually the speed of synchronous dynamic random access memory is much more when compared to SRAM, but in this we have again a variation. We have DDR SDRAM. DDR stands for double data rate. What does DDR stands for? Doubled. In one mark question, they just asked this in the last year examination. In the preparatory, they have asked in the 1 mark. What is the abbreviation for DDR SDRAM? Okay. What does DDR SDRAM stands for? Double data rate synchronous dynamic random access memory. Synchronous dynamic random access memory. The speed of your DDRAM is twice the speed of synchronous dynamic random access memory. I have given you an example. If it is now you multiply 10 into 200 megahertz, it is 2 gigahertz. When you to any frequency you take, you multiply it by 2. So only they are calling double data. So it is multiplied by 2. Whatever the speed, the double data rate is twice the speed of synchronous dynamic random access memory. You keep in your mind. Why? Because they just classified in terms of speeds only. Now you see in DDR we have again different types of speeds. So we have models. We have DDR 400, DDR 2 800, DDR 3 1600. Okay, I repeat. RAM stands for random access memory. It is a volatile memory. It is a temporary memory. The contents are erased off once the power goes off. Okay. Next we have types of RAM. We have EDORAM, SRAM, SDRAM, DDRAM. EDORAM stands for Extended Data Output RAM. It is very faster. It is initially it is with the megahertz feeder, that is 66 megahertz Pentium. This is initial stage, okay. Next, in the advanced stage we have better frequencies. Next we have SRAM. SRAM stands for Static Random Access Memory, made up of semiconductor and it is bistable. Next we have SDRAM. SD stands for Synchronous Dynamic Random Access Memory, and we have DDRAM. The only difference between SDRAM and DDRAM is DDRAM is much faster, 2 times faster than the SDRAM. DDRAM is 2 times faster than the SDRAM. So only I have shown you an example. You multiply, suppose the frequency is here, I have taken it as 10 into again we have some 200 megahertz, we have 2 gigahertz, okay. So whatever the speed of synchronous dynamic RAM, in DDR it is double that. In DDR we have many models or types. We have DDR 400, DDR2 800, DDR3 600. This is about random access memory. Okay, next we discuss about secondary memory. Okay, the next type of memory is secondary memory. We have discussed about primary memory. In primary memory, we have discussed about ROM and RAM. I repeat, in primary memory, we discussed about ROM and RAM. ROM is a non-volatile memory. It is permanent memory. RAM is volatile memory. Okay, it is a temporary memory, and we discussed about types of ROM and types of RAM. Now we will discuss about secondary memory. I told the data has to be stored in a storage unit or a storage device for a long period of time. If the data has to be stored permanently, we need the durability, means we need to go for secondary memory. So we need to store data or programs permanently. That is a need for secondary memory. So, and it is the voluminous data. The volume of data will also be more. When we want to store large amount of data, we cannot store that in a primary memory. Okay, when we want to store large amount of data, we have to go for secondary memory only. It is also cost effective. When you compare to your RAM or a ROM, the secondary memory will be cheaper. Okay, as the memory increases, the capacity of the memory increases, the cost is also decreases. Okay, when you consider in types of primary memory, RAM and ROM are much costlier than your secondary memory. But it will be very faster. When you compare your secondary memory with your primary memory, your RAM will be faster, it is expensive. When you talk about secondary memory is, when compared to RAM and ROM, it is less expensive. Okay. Now I spoke about the data has to be stored permanently, hence we prefer secondary memory. Backup storage, for all your backup storage, see, data is everywhere. We take in the social media also, your Facebook, your Twitter, your WhatsApp, whatever, wherever you see data is been coming. So we need a big database to maintain all the data. Okay, in order to maintain the data, we need to store the data somewhere in your data warehouse. So for that we need a backup storage. When I talk about a backup storage, obviously it is a secondary memory. Usually it is in terabytes, gigabytes and petabytes. Okay, in a big data storage, it can be even range. Even it is not only terabytes, for domestic use and all, we'll use only till terabytes. When you use for MongoDB and all, big database and all, they used to go for more storage capacity. It can be petabyte and all. Okay, hard disk, floppy disk, magnetic disk are the example of secondary memory. I repeat, your hard disk, floppy disk, magnetic tapes, optical disk, optical tracks, your portable storage devices, everything will fall under secondary memory. Okay, and even your CD-ROM will fall under secondary memory. Now we will discuss about hard disk. Okay, we will discuss about hard disk in detail. Okay, now we will discuss about hard disk. So we have seen the secondary storage. So in the secondary storage, I told about, we'll discuss about hard disk. Okay, hard disk, it is mainly works on direct access storage medium. Hard disk works on the principle of direct access storage medium. See, it has the hard disk usually made up of your magnetic disk. Your magnetic disk, it has the direct access storage medium. It has been divided into tracks and sectors. Your magnetic disk has been divided into tracks and sectors. The arrangement of your tracks and sector we call format. The arrangement of tracks and sectors is called as format. So your hard disk, the magnetic tapes have been divided into, so these are called as the circular shape, these are called as, these circles are called as tracks, and your tracks have been divided into sectors. A part of your track is called as sector. I repeat, the format, the way in which the tracks and sectors are arranged is called, the arrangement of tracks and sectors is called as format. So we have this ring-like structure, this I called it as tracks, and a part of a tracks I call it as a sector. When I take a particular sector, when I enlarge, so it will have a, see here we can burn it, so we here the bits and bytes can be burned here, your zeros and ones can be burned, so it can be burned in this way. Okay, this is the enlargement. When I just take this sector, when I just enlarge it and see, so the data can be stored here. This is about your hard disk, and it works on 80,000 RPM. So it works on the speed of 80,000 RPM. The storage capacity of hard disk, we have a formula. The storage capacity of hard disk, how to find out the storage capacity of the hard disk? It is usually in GBs and MBs. The storage capacity of hard disk will be megabytes and gigabytes. We do have a formula how to calculate the storage capacity. The number of tracks, how many tracks we have, as well as into number of sectors into bytes per sector into number of reads and writes. So how many reads and how many writes, that is number of reads and writes. I repeat, the storage capacity of hard disk is equal to number of tracks, number of sectors into bytes per second into number of reads and writes. Okay, this is about your hard disk. Hard disk is also called as magnetic disk. So it directly works on the direct access storage medium. So the magnetic disk has been divided into tracks and sector. The arrangement is called as format. It works or rotates at the speed of 80,000 RPM. And the storage capacity we have, we can calculate by using number of tracks, number of sectors, number of bytes per sectors, and number of reads and writes. Okay. Next we'll discuss about magnetic tape. So the next type of secondary storage media is we have magnetic tape. The recording medium contains thin tape. Okay, it has a thin tape with a coating of a fine magnetic strip. So in the magnetic tape we have a thin tape. It is have a fine coating of magnetic strip, and that strip itself, a strip of it is made up of a plastic. It is a strip of plastic. It is coated with magnetic recording medium. I repeat, we have a magnetic tape. The tape is made up of a fine magnetic strip. It is a thin tape. It is made up of fine magnetic strip, and that strip itself is a strip of plastic. It is being coated with magnetic recording medium. So how many bits simultaneously we can record? We have 7 or 9 bits are recorded simultaneously. How many bits of data can be recorded simultaneously? 7 or 9. We have 7 or 9 bits of data can be recorded simultaneously. It has read and write heads which is mounted into one track. We have read and write heads which are mounted into one track, so that it can be read as a sequence of characters. It can be read as a sequence of characters. I repeat, we have magnetic tape. Magnetic tape, this is used in the recording medium. Where we use magnetic tape? In the recording medium. In the recording medium we have a thin tape with a coating of fine magnetic strip. That strip itself is a strip of plastic, and it is coated with magnetic recording medium. I repeat, it is coated with magnetic recording medium. How many bits can be recorded simultaneously? 7 or 9 bits can be recorded simultaneously. It has read and write heads which is mounted onto a track, so that the data can be read out as a sequence of characters. This is about magnetic tape. Next we'll see about the next kind of secondary storage medium. Okay, next we'll discuss about floppy disk. The next kind of secondary storage medium is floppy disk. Floppy disk usually will get in 3 types. One is 3.5 inches, one is 5.25 inches, or 5 by 5, 1 by 4 inch, or this is 3.1 by 2. Okay, we have 3.5 inches or 5.25 inches floppy disk. So it is a thin circular disk. Again, it is have a soft magnetic disk. Inside your floppy disk, we have a soft magnetic disk. It is semi-rigid. It has a semi-rigid protective jacket. It is having read and write. We have a latch here, read and write protected latch. and it is having a semi-rigid protective jacket. It rotates at the speed of 360 rpm. Usually the floppy disk capacity, it is only in MBs. Okay, it is in MBs, not even in GBs. 1.44 MB. This is the maximum range of your floppy disk. Usually it will be in MBs, 1.44 MB. I repeat, floppy disk is another kind of secondary storage medium. It has a thin circular disk. It is having a soft magnetic disk. It is having a semi-rigid protective jacket. It is having a reed protective knob also. Okay. It is rotates at the speed of 360 rpm. The maximum capacity of a floppy disk is 1.44 MB. Next, we even have discussed. We have to discuss about optical discs, optical tracks. So in optical discs and in optical tracks, we use a laser light. We use a laser beam or laser light in order to record the data. In the optical disc as well as in the optical tapes, we do have DVDs and CDs. Okay, we do have CD stands for compact disc, digital versatile. DVD stands for it stands for digital versatile disc. DVD stands for digital versatile disc. We have Blu-ray disc. These are the other kind of storage medium. I repeat, we have optical disc and optical tracks. In optical disc and optical tracks, we use laser beams. We have DVDs, digital versatile disc. We have CDs, compact disc. We have Blu-ray disc. Okay, these are about your secondary storage medium. In secondary storage medium, we do have portable storage medium. Okay, it falls under your portable storage falls under secondary storage medium. We'll discuss about the portable storage examples. Okay. Next, we will discuss about the last concept. Like we discuss about portable storage devices. In the portable storage, we call portable storage device as PST. It is a small hard drive designed to hold any kind of digital data. I repeat, portable storage PST can hold any kind of digital data. The capacity of your PST, it is in the range of 256 GB, 300 GB, 500 GB, 1 TB or 2 TB. So what falls under the portable storage device example? We have hard disk drive, your hard disk drive, your flash drive, secure disk, USB, floppies will fall under your portable storage devices. After your portable storage devices, we have the high speed memory, we call it as cache memory. We have cache memory. Cache memory is a high speed memory and it is very expensive. Cache memory is a high speed memory, very expensive memory. We have two to three levels of cache memory. We have L1 cache, L2 cache and L3 cache. Okay, level 1 cache, level 2 cache and level 3 cache. Usually we will talk about L1 cache and L2 cache. Okay, we have L1 cache that is located within your processor or within your CPU. Cache is it has been located between your primary memory and the CPU. So L2 cache is located, it is mounted on the motherboard, wherein L1 cache it can be a 1 mark question where your L1 cache is level 1 cache is being located. L1 stands for level 1. Okay, L2 stands for level 2. So where L1 cache is located, it is within the processor. Why we need cache memory? Cache memory is a high speed memory. It will hold a very minimum amount of data, but it is a very high speed memory. Even in the pyramid of the memory, you see the fastest is cache. The very expensive is also cache memory. First is your registers, later you will have a cache memory. So here when I talk about among all the memories we have discussed, the fastest, the high speed memory is cache memory and it is very expensive. Okay, in cache memory we have three levels of cache, L1, L2 and L3. But for your syllabus we will discuss only about two levels of cache, L1 cache and L2 cache. L1 cache is located within your CPU, L2 is mounted on your motherboard. Okay. Usually your cache memory is placed in between the primary memory and the CPU. Okay, these are now we have discussed about the different types of secondary storage devices. So I'll just brief what we have seen in the today's classes. Now we we have a brief discussion about what we have seen in today's session. Now initially we have seen about memory devices. In today's class we discussed about memory devices. Why we need memory? Memory device we need to store the data for a long period of time. If you want to store the data into a memory, we need to store it in a storage medium. So memory is also called as a storage device or a storage medium. If you want to use the data for a long period of time, the memory has to be stored in a storage medium. We have two types of memory. One is primary memory and secondary memory. What falls under the category of primary memory? Your RAM and ROM. So ROM stands for read-only memory. RAM stands for random access memory. The characteristics of ROM are it is non-volatile. That means the content in the memory will not be erased even the power goes off. So it is a permanent memory. ROM is a permanent memory. It is a non-volatile memory. We have different kinds of ROM. We have PROM, EPROM, EEPROM. PROM stands for programmable read-only memory. EPROM stands for erasable programmable read-only memory. EEPROM stands for electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. Next we have discussed about RAM. RAM is a volatile memory. It is a temporary memory. The contents in the RAM get erased off once the power goes off. So we have seen different types of RAM. We have EDORAM, we have static random access memory, we have SDRAM, synchronous dynamic random access memory, we have DDR SDRAM, double data rate synchronous dynamic random access memory. We discussed about all the types of ROMs and RAMs. Okay, these are about primary memory. Later we discuss about secondary storage, that is secondary storage media. So there we discussed about hard disk. Okay, in hard disk it is also made up of a magnetic disk. We have tracks and sectors. The format in which the tracks and sectors are arranged, we call that as a format. The way in which the arrangement of tracks and sectors takes place, that is called as format of your hard disk. So when I talk about the rings in the hard disk, the magnetic disk, we call that as tracks. A part of track we call it as a sector. So usually it works under 80,000 RPM. So the storage capacity, we have a formula. We can calculate the storage capacity of the hard disk by taking the number of tracks, number of sectors, number of reads and writes and all. So once you need to know the storage capacity, once you apply the values in the formula, you can calculate the storage capacity of the hard disk. The hard disk storage capacity usually it will be from megabytes to gigabytes. Later we discuss about floppy disks, magnetic tapes, okay, magnetic disks, magnetic tapes, optical tracks, optical disks, and we discussed about the portable storage. In portable storage is also called as PST. So portable storage, it is a small hard drive. I told it is designed to hold any kind of digital data. I repeat, PST, it is designed to hold any kind of physical digital data, and it is the capacity of PST is 256, 320 GB, 500 GB, 1 TB and up to 2 TB, etc. TB stands for terabyte, GB stands for gigabyte. The example for portable storage devices: HDD, flash drive, secure disk drive, USBs, and you have your floppy disk. Next, last kind of memory we discussed about cache memories. Cache memory is a high-speed memory. It is a very expensive, fastest and high-speed memory. We have two levels of cache, L1 cache and L2 cache. Usually cache memory is placed between your primary memory and your CPU. So inside the processor we have L1 cache. L2 cache is mounted on your motherboard. So that is about your cache memory. It is very fast and very expensive. When you compare all the other memory, let it be even your main memory, your primary memory and the rest other kinds of memory, cache memory, it will be very fast. It is the fastest and it is very expensive. When compared to your RAM also, cache memory is very expensive, but it is designed to hold only a minimum data. Okay, it is designed to frequently access data and the minimum data will be placed in your cache. Even when you compare to your main memory, the memory capacity is very less when we compare to main memory, but it is very faster when compared to RAM. When you compare your cache and RAM, when compared to cache and RAM is slow, but cache is very fast. Okay, so but we cannot use it for a large storage. Okay, when we compare to RAM, the cache memory storage is very less. Okay. So this is about your memory devices. We have discussed about different kinds of memory devices. We have seen the types and examples. So this ends your input, output and memory device chapter. In your next session, we'll discuss a new chapter. So if you have any questions or any queries, you just put it into your assignment questions. That also we'll discuss in the classes. Okay, thank you.